Hello, good evening and welcome to News 360, live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I am Ayisha Yakubu. Coming up, the headlines.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Accra Circuit Court sentences self-acclaimed prophetess Patricia Asiedu, popularly known as Nana Agradaa, to 15 years in jail for charlatanic advertisement and defrauding by false pretense.
Also coming up, minority in Parliament accused the Electoral Commission of bowing to political pressure in its decision to rerun Ablekuma North constituency.
University of Professional Studies Accra UPSA vows to sustain enforcement of the school's dress code policy despite a public backlash over the exercise.
And later in business, finance experts project single-digit inflation by September, citing cedi stability and tight monetary policy.
And in news from elsewhere, rescuers searched for 30 people who were missing after a ferry sank and resulted in the death of 4 people near Indonesia's resort island of Bali. Well, the details of these and many more stories, including sports and entertainment, coming up over the next 1 hour. Do stay with us.
We are starting from issues relating to education, where the Tertiary Education Workers Union of Ghana, TEU-GH, has declared an indefinite nationwide strike effective Thursday, July 3, 2025, following the expiration of a 7-day ultimatum issued to government authorities over unresolved grievances regarding union representation on the Governing Council of Traditional Public Universities. The strike stems from the government's decision to recognize TEU-TUC as the workers' representation on universities' governing councils, despite TEU-GH's claim of majority membership and legal right to representation. Addressing the media in Kumasi, the national chairman of the union, Suleiman Abdul Rahman, argued that the decision violates democratic principles, labor laws, and fair representation in Ghana's tertiary education sector.
Demands the immediate and unconditional withdrawal of TEU-TUC's appointment as workers' representative on governing councils, given the blatant disregard for democratic principles and the right of majority union. We call for the establishment of a clear, transparent, and democratic process for determining union representation in tertiary education institutions, ensuring that the voice of the majority is respected and reflected in governance structures. We will not compromise on our demands or back down in the face of adversity. In accordance with our union's constitution and the provisions of the Labour Act 2003, Act 651, and the powers vested in me, TEU-GH hereby declare an indefinite strike action effective today, Thursday, 3rd July 2025, until our demands are met.
TEU Ghana has a long way to go, but has got to say.
Sorry, let's go to the phone lines now and speak to the General Secretary of the Teachers and Education Workers Union, which is TEU-TUC. So for those of you who may be following or not know what exactly is happening, these are two different groups. Both have TEU, but one is TEU-GH and then we have TEU-TUC. So we now have King James Azotiba with us. He is with TEU-TUC. Mr. Azotiba, good evening. Thank you for joining us on News 360.
Yeah, good evening to you and your listeners.
Can you help us understand the difference between your group, TEU-GH and TEU-TUC, so that then we can proceed with the rest of the interview?
Okay. So the Teachers and Educational Workers Union of the Ghana TEU-TUC is the mother union of all educational support workers, both in the pre-tertiary and in the tertiary institutions. The Tertiary Education Workers Union is a breakaway group, a group that has broken away from the mother body, and they are trying to establish themselves as an enterprise union in the public university. Yes, that's the difference. We have to warn them from using the name TEWU, because TEWU is the acronym. The acronym for the Teachers and Educational Workers Union. And they coined that one to deceive the public, and we have told them to desist using TEWU. We should rather refer to them as the Tertiary Education Workers Union.
Okay, so the clarity or the difference you are bringing is that they are Tertiary Education Workers Union, and then one is
yes,
and then teachers and education workers union. Okay, so tertiary and teachers. Okay. Yes. So how come you are saying they are a breakaway, and because of that you do not recognize them, and they have coined the similar acronym of TEWU to confuse people? Why would you say that?
Okay, most of them were our former local union executives. And when I say a local union executive, in the TEWU structure, the workers group in the university, like Omicron University of Science and Technology, like University of Development Studies, like University of Ghana, it's a local union.
Right.
So they have the local executive. And for our arrangement, the chairman of that local union goes to council. These gentlemen that we're talking about have represented the Teachers and Educational Workers Union as executives in council. They've done that for 2 terms. Their 2 terms have expired. They are supposed to allow us to elect other people to be chairmen. They say they will not go. And as a result of that, they decided to break away and form their own union. Fine. It's freedom of association, so we don't have any problem with that.
Okay. They have threatened a strike. What kind of impact do you foresee this having on the general work of, Tertiary Education Workers Union?
Well, for us, as a Teachers and Educational Workers Union, a very experienced trade union practitioners since the 1960s, we do not know how effective the strike will be, because for our members in the public universities and other staff members of the public universities, everybody will be working. And so it is not for me to say how effective it will be, because if you embark on a strike which have no basis, it's not with the employer to allow them to continue or not to continue.
Right.
And be mindful, they are employees of the university, so they cannot take the law into their hands. But if that's what management wants to allow them, I don't have any problem with that.
All right. Mr. Azortiba, thank you for your time on this subject. We will definitely be talking about it in the coming days. King James Azortiba is General Secretary of TEU-TUC.
Let's move on to another topical issue, Martin. The University of Professional Studies, Accra, UPSA, has condemned the manhandling of a female student captured in a viral video circulating on social media during an enforcement of a dress code. The school is, however, vowing to sustain its dress code policy until sanity is maintained on campus.
The video, which shows a staff member confronting students over alleged indecent dressing, sparked public concern around the university's dress code policy. Director of Public Affairs at University of Professional Studies, Accra, Abba Loko, clarified that while the institution upholds its dress code policy without compromise, the incident involving the female student was taken out of context.
You ask anybody who is walked through here, the adherence to the dress code it's not something that the university will compromise on. The reason for which the altercation, which was seen in the video, had nothing to do with hair, in particular with hairdressing. Though the student handbook says that jeans, crop tops, and all of that are not acceptable, and they are aware. She had disrespected the Dean of Students. For what she had done, she would have gone through a disciplinary process, but that's been waived off. So whoever was filming without context. Unfortunately, we saw the dragging and manhandling, if you would use the word. The university condemns that. The staff of the university has rendered an apology to the young lady.
Students were also engaged on the matter of the school standards on appearance.
They actually said only on Mondays we should dress officially, but the rest of the week, like casually but decently. They emphasize on the dress code. So if they keep telling you this and you do otherwise, I believe you have given yourself up to be treated in an awkward manner.
In our student handbook, it states that we should dress professionally. Some people can wear short skirts and then crop top. It's not fair.
They made mention of that UPSA is a professional school, so we do everything as professionals.
We have some students who are so stubborn. Management should kindly take it easy with us.
The objective, she explained, is to instill discipline and groom students for the professional world.
You do not expect students to walk into class in their pajamas and in their slippers. And that is what sometimes we see. Ensuring that and cultivating this culture of appearing right is what it is that we are enforcing. And we will continue to do that, but in a very respectful manner.
Let's go on to some other stories. Now, the minority in Parliament has accused the Electoral Commission of bowing to political pressure in its decision to rerun elections in some polling stations at the Ablekuma North constituency. The caucus is demanding that the commission be invited to brief the House, noting the worry that the move is unfair. Christian Yali reports that they also took on the newly launched 24-hour economic policy that government launched yesterday and called it a PR gimmick.
According to the minority, the integrity of the Electoral Commission is coming under serious question following the Commission's own departure from an earlier decision it took to not rerun elections in the Ablekuma North constituency. They have described the latest move by the EC to rerun 19 polling stations of that constituency as unjust, unfair, and one that brings the reputation of the EC under serious scrutiny.
It is unfair. It is unjust. Is it the case, and I don't want to believe that that is the case, that the recent public comment by some senior politicians is what is compelling EC, perhaps to secure their job? They want to succumb to the whims and caprices of certain extremists or certain hardliners. It is not fair.
Members of the caucus were uniform in their demand for the Electoral Commission to appear before the House next week to answer urgent questions on the matter raised.
I'm just asking the leader of the House to invite the Electoral Commission to give us the basis in line with Article 23 and 296 of the Constitution, the discretion that the EC has to, come out with this particular directive. I think Parliament has to be informed accordingly.
The majority leader, Mahama Yarga, in a response today, has urged the House not to politicize the issue at hand.
If the scanned pictures were not verified by their own presiding officers, on what basis should that be used? That is why they are calling for a rerun of those 19 polling stations. I don't know why you are afraid. Let us not try to politicize this.
But that wasn't the only issue. The minority also had concerns raised about the launch of government flagship 24-hour economy policy, describing it as a mere PR tool that is meant to take people's attention off the real-time economic struggles.
They are so-called 24-hour economy. Yesterday they launched it. without due regard to Parliament. We in the minority see this as a mere PR tool to distract from real-time economic hardship and win public goodwill. Because you've just increased tariffs. Even you introduce a levy which the people call a doomsday levy.
And again, the majority leader had to intervene with some response.
You must understand 24 hours economy. And it was presented to this House. The $4 billion that is being discussed is not government money. The $4 billion is going to be private sector money with small government support to catalyze those ones.
The issue about the alleged missing excavators was raised by the minority, but the majority leader explained that they will get in touch with the ministry to find out if indeed those claims can be ascertained. Beginning next week, Parliament is expected to add Mondays and Saturdays to its sittings to make room for some legislative instrument that would mature over the period before the House adjourns sine die. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Parliament.
Meanwhile, the opposition New Patriotic Party has served notice of challenging the Electoral Commission's decision to rerun the Ablekuma North parliamentary elections in 19 polling stations. The party maintains its candidates won the polls and that the EC lacks the legal mandate to call for such a rerun. General Secretary Justice Frimpong Kodia addressed a news conference.
Under the law, it is only a court of competent jurisdiction that can order a rerun of elections duly conducted by the Electoral Commission. So the Electoral Commission has no power, no authority to determine a rerun for Ablekuma North, except by the court. Except by the court. In any case, we have evidence that some of these presiding officers were in fact at the collation center, and where they verified the results from their polling stations. We are a nation of rule of law. We owe it to our dear country Ghana and prosperity to rise above our parochial or partisan considerations in order to defend our democratic gains. We in the MPP shall stop at nothing in our quest to ensure that the powers that must be respected and upheld by the democratic right and sovereignty of the good people of Ablekuma North, as expressed by them on 7th of December 2024, is upheld. And therefore, we have caused our legal directorate to challenge the Electoral Commission in court.
Let's go on to one of our headline stories we have for you this evening. Many of you have already been commenting on it since the news broke. So, lawyers of popular former traditional priestess, now turned evangelist Patricia Asiedu-Dartey, widely known as Nana Agradaa, have served notice. The lawyers have served notice of their intention to appeal the sentence against their client. An Accra Circuit Court earlier on Thursday gave Nana Agradaa a 15-year jail term with hard labor after convicting her of multiple offences, including charlatanic advertisement and fraud. Lord Eduasare reports.
The leader of Heavenway Champions International Ministry, popularly referred to as Nana Agradaa, was convicted of 1 count of charlatanic advertisement and 2 counts of defrauding by false pretense after the Circuit Court found her guilty of defrauding some of her members. In court on Thursday, July 3, ahead of the sentencing, after she was convicted of the charges, the court ordered a mandatory pregnancy test in line with judicial procedures, which confirmed she was not pregnant. Her lawyers, in their closing remarks before her sentencing, prayed the court against giving her a custodial sentence. They told the court that Agradaa has 5 children, with the eldest being a 24-year-old daughter studying law at the university, and the youngest, a 3-year-old whose lives, they indicated, will be devastated if she is sent to jail. They also noted that as a leader of the church, she had positively impacted the lives of many in the country. But the prosecution, led by Emmanuel Haliga, stressed that she had been earlier convicted of similar charges in 2021, but had repeated the offences because the punishment wasn't deterrent enough. They prayed for a custodial sentence which would deter like-minded individuals. In her ruling, presiding judge Evelyn Asamoah detailed that Nana Agradaa skillfully executed the offences and showed no remorse. She ordered Agradaa to pay a fine of 300 cedis on the charge of charlatanic advertisement and further sentenced her to 15 years in hard labour, each on the charge of 2 counts of defrauding by false pretense. Lawyer for Agradaa, Richard Asare Bafo, shared his frustration with the decision of the court.
We will trigger processes on Monday. We believe that the sentence of 15 years is just excessive.
It's too excessive.
It's too excessive.
Yes.
Even the amount involved is just 540 Ghana cedis. Yes. How can you be alleged you have defrauded somebody for 540 cedis and then be convicted for 15 years? I'm very clear in my mind that Agradaa has been jailed just because of who she is and not because of what she is alleged to have done.
Agrada's husband also spoke to the media. Per the facts of the case, Nana Agradaa displayed the bundles of money during an advert on Today's TV where she promised to distribute 300,000 cedis and encouraged members of the public to attend an all-night service for a share of the money. She urged them to pay monies with the promise to double the amount, but failed to do so. She was subsequently arrested and arraigned before the court. Lord Irasari, TEU-3 News, Accra.
Moving on, the Director General of the Ghana Meteorological Agency has reacted to threats by staff to withdraw their services over unjustified delay in the implementation of their conditions of service. Dr. Eric Isuman denied accusations that he's only interested in procurement instead of prioritizing the welfare of workers.
Some staff who spoke to us on conditions of anonymity expressed deep concern and frustration about their conditions of service. Director General Dr. Eric Isuman categorically denied reneging on staff welfare, adding he has spearheaded the effort to get the first ever conditions of service.
Since 2004 till date, they've never had condition of service attached to their work. I have initiated a process of developing condition of service, working with the union. And we have walked through this from 2024 till now. The document was with fair wages. As I speak, you're not going to send the documents to fair wages. That's so unfortunate.
Some staff also accused the Director General of only interested in procurement.
In fact, as I speak to you, from last year till this year, the major procurement item that has happened in this organization are four procurement items.
GMet, over the years, is one of the public institutions that has suffered from high attrition rate, a phenomenon workers attribute to a poor working environment. Staff sent TV3 some pictures of snake-infested offices, non-functioning Stevenson screens and thermometers, and self-recording rain gauge used in weather forecasting in their 21 stations. Dr. Isuman admitted the challenges, but said the way to go is to procure more automatic weather stations and gradually phase out the manual equipment.
Last year, with the Minister of Agric, a project under Minister of Agric called a Food System Resilient Project, FSRP, procured for GMet 20 automatic weather stations last year, which we have installed. So a manual station that have this equipment are 22, in fact now 21. Last year, we got 20 automatic weather stations under FSRP project. And so we are working to replace or attach these automatic weather stations to the manual.
While most people agree weather forecasting has improved in recent years, the need to retool GMet and provide staff with favorable working conditions is crucial, owing to the sadly huge role they play. It currently generates internal revenue from the Ghana Airports Company and selling of data to support operations. Despite these channels, the agency is unable to generate enough to improve infrastructure. Staff believes management can do better.
Now, President John Dramani Mahama has charged 7 newly appointed Supreme Court justices to adorn their robes of office solemnly to repose the trust and confidence of the Ghanaian public. At the swearing-in ceremony at the Jubilee House, the president also urged the depoliticization of the judiciary.
The singular opportunity of elevation to the highest court of the land was almost long overdue.
The journey for some of us up to today has been exceptionally long. You have the faith and confidence that this day will arrive. Finally, it has arrived. The dreadful questions that our children ask, Daddy, this time to your name hasn't come on the list. Today is over.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana as by law established.
The president administered the oath of office, allegiance, and secrecy. Justice Senyu Jamape, Sir Dennis Dominic Eje, Simon Subari, Philip Bright Mensah, Janapari Ajua Battles Kujo, Hafisatu Amaliboba, Justice Kwikuteria Akabuafo have all been sworn in. The call from the president was for the justices to interpret the law with depth, empathy, and relevance, taking into account the realities of Ghanaians.
This robe is not simply a mark of office, it is a public trust. It is a symbol of service, humility, and accountability. Wear it with wisdom. Interpret the law not just as it is, but as it ought to be, alive to context and sensitive to the lived realities of the Ghanaian people. Speak through your judgments, not your opinions. Show leadership through principle, not preference. Let your legacy be measured in volumes of law reports, the lives you touched, the precedents you set, and the public trust that you preserved.
Public trust, the president opines, has waned, imploring them to be fair and just.
We must protect our courts from political interference, economic manipulation, and public intimidation. An independent judiciary is not a threat to government. It is a partner in nation building. We need justices who are not swayed by popularity or pressure, but are anchored in the Constitution and driven by a genuine desire to uphold justice without fear or favor. We need a judiciary that understands that legal certainty and predictability are essential for good governance, investor confidence, economic growth, and social cohesion.
And now the National Misinformation and Disinformation Bill is expected to be presented before Parliament for review in its upcoming session. That's according to the Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation, Samuel Nate George. According to him, the bill is a crucial step in safeguarding Ghana's digital information ecosystem against falsehoods and harmful online content, which threaten public trust, national security and democratic engagement.
In the minister's second quarter briefing, Sam George explained the ministry was drafting new technology laws aimed at modernizing infrastructure and securing the technology ecosystem.
The ministry initiated a comprehensive internal review of all existing ICT laws, policies and guidelines in Q1 2025. The review is now complete, and we have initiated a process of drafting 15 new technology laws, including the Data Protection Amendment Bill, the cybersecurity regulations, and new frameworks on AI, cloud services, digital trade, and platform governance. The ministry will work closely with Parliament in completing the processes for these legislative reforms, which will modernize Ghana's ICT legal architecture to reflect today's digital realities, secure Ghana's digital ecosystem while upholding inclusion and fundamental rights.
He added he was taking steps to address concerns of inappropriate content on popular social media platform TikTok in Ghana.
I'm deeply concerned about some of the content on TikTok. Life, sex, and explicit material on TikTok is completely unacceptable and against our culture and our norms. And those were parts of the conversation I held with TikTok's team to have content moderation in country. But the cybersecurity authorities mandated to do constant surveillance of TikTok platforms and accounts in country that are engaged in content that is anti our culture and not appropriate, and work with the platform operator to take down those accounts. I also urged TikTok to ensure fair compensation for Ghana's content creators.
Touching on recent agitations over cost of DSTV subscriptions, Sam George assured of efforts to reduce cost.
We would use the power of the state to protect the citizens of the state. I will meet with the Ghana and South Africa team in my office, and I'm clear in my mind that meeting will not come to an end without a reduction, an agreed reduction in the price. I have seen the attempt by the South African management to say that when you buy a package, they should upgrade you to the next one. We are grateful, but that's not what we want. We want a price reduction.
The Indian Prime Minister has left Ghana after his two-day state visit. The Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, bid farewell to him at the Kotoka International Airport in Accra.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Ghana on Wednesday for a two-day state visit and was received by President Mahama. He was later conferred with the Officer of the Order of the Star of Ghana, the country's highest civilian honor, by President Mahama on Wednesday. On Thursday, he met with the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, where the two visited the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum. The Prime Minister was shown around the facility and was also briefed about the history of the mausoleum and other important facts about the monument. The two then proceeded to Parliament House, where the Prime Minister addressed members of the House. At the airport, Narendra Modi expressed gratitude for the warm hospitality and fruitful discussions during the two-day visit. The Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, thanked the Prime Minister for his visit and looked forward to continued cooperation between the two countries. Here at the Kotoka Airport, where the Indian Prime Minister has just boarded the flight, he was seen off at the airport by the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, and the Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto-Oblakwa. This is after his two-day visit to the country. From the airport, Evelyn Tengma, TV3 News.
Still watching News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. We have business for you right after the break.
The business segment is brought to you by MTN. Touch concentrated perfume.
Welcome back. It's time for Business Now. Menu Afo joins us. Menu, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you, Ayisha.
What is happening in the world of business?
Well, we know that the economy has been performing quite well
Yeah.
recently. So experts are kind of anticipating a single-digit inflation in some months to come. And we have
fingers crossed.
Yeah.
A yellow outfit. I'm lost in a red gold.
Right.
Yeah.
Good evening and welcome to the business segment on News360. I am Minu Aful. A finance expert has projected Ghana's annual consumer inflation to hit single digits by end of September 2025. This forecast by Head of Finance at Melbourne Capital, Nelson Kujo Kwabeji, significantly beats government's year-end forecast of 11.9%.
The Bank of Ghana has a medium-term inflation target of 8 plus or minus 2% and revised its timeline for achieving single digits to the second quarter of 2026. Meanwhile, Head of Finance at Melbourne Capital, Nelson Kujo Kwagweji, is projecting a single-digit inflation by September 2025.
The end-of-year target is 11.9%. Currently, we are 13.7%. And so by the end of third quarter, which is September 2025, we may be hitting a single-digit inflation. We expect inflation to hover around 9 to 10%.
His optimistic outlook is primarily attributed to the sustained stability of the cedi and the Bank of Ghana's consistent tight monetary policy.
Government decided not to spend so much, and that also contributed significantly towards the disinflationary pressures. Bank of Ghana has used this monetary policy tool to absorb and drain excess liquidity from the system, and this has also contributed towards the disinflationary pressure. In fact, the cedi has enjoyed relative stability and currently being traded at 10.30 at interbank.
Nelson Kujo Kwagweji's projection offers a more immediate prospect for consumers and businesses alike.
Businesses will enjoy relative price stability, and government-owned, position will be that, confidence is bouncing back, hope is bouncing back, and to investors, they can easily come and invest within the Ghanaian economy.
A single-digit inflation rate means that the general price level of goods and services is increasing at a slow and predictable rate, thereby preventing the erosion of purchasing power for ordinary citizens.
Away from that, Minister for Communications, Digital Technology and Innovation, Samuel Nartey George, has announced that all technical challenges encountered by telecom operators during the rollout of Ghana's enhanced data bundle packages have now been resolved. Since July 1, 2025, mobile data users in Ghana have been receiving increased data volumes at no extra cost under a new policy introduced by the ministry.
The transition was, however, marred by widespread system disruptions, leaving many users unable to purchase or activate data bundles. Speaking at a press conference, the minister said the issues have been fully addressed and consumers can now enjoy uninterrupted access to data services.
All mobile bundles, irrespective of price, have increased by 15%. Telecel and Airtel, all mobile bundles, irrespective of price, have increased by 10%. And then for the high-use bundles, especially used by those in the gig economy, those who do remote work, and those who are content creators, we have restored MTN's 399 Ghana cedi bundle, which used to offer 92 gig to 214 gigabyte now.
Samuel Nartey George also disclosed that the three major telecom companies operating in Ghana have committed over $100 million to improve service quality nationwide.
All three major mobile network operators have agreed to invest a combined $150 million into their networks by the end of 2025 to improve service quality, reliability, and resilience. Enforcement of service quality benchmarks have been mandated to the NCA, with ongoing monitoring started already by the regulator. Our goal is to ensure that data is not a luxury, but a utility. It is accessible and affordable to every Ghanaian.
And now Ghana's leading cement manufacturer, Gasem, is pushing the boundaries of sustainability in construction. The company has launched a new eco-friendly cement product called EcoCool, promising both strength and environmental responsibility.
New era for Ghana's construction industry as Gasem unveils EcoCool, its latest innovation and one of the most sustainable cement on the market today. Unlike traditional cement, which uses clinker and is quite expensive, this new product replaces clinker with alternative materials such as calcined clay.
Gasem is not only the leader in quality, we also want to be the leader in sustainability. And at Gasem we have a very clear target, a very clear CO2 roadmap, that we want to be 100% CO2 neutral by 2050. So it's a very exciting day for us today to introduce our brand new cement, EcoCool, which is one of the most sustainable cements in the world.
EcoCool is designed for all traditional cement applications, from housing to infrastructure, but with a lower environmental footprint.
We want to build strong, beautiful homes with strong cement, but we also want to do it in a way we protect the environment. So the new product, EcoCool, can be used for all the applications our traditional brands are used as well, but in a much more sustainable way. So there's really no reason to pick any other cement if you want to do the right thing.
The Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry commended Gasem for the bold move, calling it a step in the right direction for Ghana's industrial and environmental future.
I must commend Gasem for its unwavering commitment to excellence and collaboration. Your support in trading standard inspectors for the Ghana Standard Authority will strengthen regulatory oversight, ensuring that quality standard in manufacturing, trade and consumer goods will be upheld.
With EcoCool, Gasem says consumers no longer have to choose between strength and sustainability. They can have both. A bold product for a greener tomorrow.
Let's now look at how the cedi is faring against other major trading currencies and how some of our key commodities are also faring on the global market. Well, that's it for Business Tonight on News 360. I am Minu. Afo, stay with us. Sports News comes up next.
Coil.
Time for the latest in the world of sports, and Oreku Ampofo is with us in studio. Hello, Oreku.
Hi, Martin.
So the day started on a sad note,
yeah.
the passing of Liverpool's Diogo Jota.
Yeah.
Do we have any updates on what's going on so far regarding that?
And so, yeah, there's been a number of tributes. We're hearing that due to the burns of the body, the funeral is likely to be either before the weekend or during the weekend as well. Liverpool have also issued a number of statements, and so we'll get the updates on that as well.
Yeah, thank you. Let's get into the details now.
Well, before we get into that, ahead of the 2025-2026 CAF Champions League, Sport and Recreation Minister Kofi Adams has pledged to support and solicit funds for Bibiani Gold Stars. Gold Stars were crowned winners of the 2024-2025 Ghana Premier League and thus have been handed the mandate of representing the country. He made this proclamation when Gold Stars presented the trophy to the ministry.
Football is being organized well. However, even as I commend you, it's important to use your presence here so as to speak to clubs, club owners, and management that we need to do our best to make sure that we generate the necessary love to get back, because it is only when we do that that the corporates will also be interested in putting in their money. But if we do things that don't allow even the numbers to come, people are not showing interest like it used to be in the days of our legends, then the corporates will wait and say, okay, if I go and put my money in Ghana Most Beautiful, there will be more eyes there than football.
Well, let's do some more football news where after helping Royal Union Saint-Gilloise win the Belgian League for the first time in almost 100 years, 3 Sports caught up with forward Mohamed Fusseini, who shared his excitement about achieving this feat.
It's really stressful for all the players, especially on the last game, like the decisive game day. When we were playing 1-1, I was like, nah, this is crazy, you know, because we were so like close, and then it was 1-1. Everybody was like a bit nervous in the first half, but then the second half we had to be ready and then go like make sure we won the game, and then we did, and then we were the champions of the Belgium League. Yeah.
Well, let's do some more here where Liverpool have confirmed that the club will immortalize the number 20 kit in honor of the late Diogo Jota, who was involved in a car crash in the early hours of Thursday. Jota's ghastly car accident, together with his brother Andre Silva, happened in the province of Zamora after a tyre blowout. Liverpool have paid tribute to the late forward, as well as clubs, football icons and coaches sympathizing with the family. A book of condolence has been opened digitally and physically right outside Anfield. Jota joined the Reds from Wolverhampton Wanderers in 2020, making 182 appearances, scoring 65 goals and providing 26 assists. We do have more updates for you on our social media handles at 3 Sports GH. My name is Oreku Ampofo. Up next on the bulletin is entertainment.
We now bring you some interesting entertainment tidbits from around the world.
Beninese singer and 5-time Grammy winner Angelique Kidjo has made history as the first African artist selected for a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame as part of the class of 2026. The announcement was made by the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce. With a career spanning over 4 decades, Kidjo is known for blending Afrobeat, jazz, funk, and traditional West African music. she has collaborated with global stars like Carlos Santana, Alicia Keys, Burna Boy, and Davido, and her music has reshaped perceptions of African sounds worldwide. Beyond music, Kijo is a passionate advocate for girls' education and gender equality, serving as a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador and founder of the Batonga Foundation. She joins a diverse group of honorees, including Miley Cyrus, Shaquille O'Neal, Timothy Chalamet. Her star ceremony is expected to take place within 2 years. Squid Game Season 3 has made history by debuting as #1 in all 93 countries where Netflix is available, according to the platform's press release. It's the first show ever to achieve this global feat during its premiere week. The Korean thriller received 60.1 million views across its 6 episodes in just the first 3 days, setting a new Netflix record. It now ranks as the 9th most watched non-English TV show on the platform. Though creator Wang Dong-hyuk has confirmed that Season 3 will be the final season, the finale's strong hints at a US-based spin-off have fans hopeful for more.
Time now for international news.
Rescuers were searching Thursday for 30 people who were missing after a ferry sank and 4 people died the previous night near Indonesia's resort island of Bali. As of Thursday afternoon, 31 people had been rescued from the ferry's 53 passengers and 12 crew members, the National Search and Rescue Agency said in a statement. Authorities said the ferry sank almost half an hour after leaving Ketapang port in the East Java town of Banyuwangi late Wednesday. Many of those rescued were unconscious after drifting in choppy waters for hours. Survivors told rescuers there appeared to be a leak in the engine room of the ferry, which was carrying 22 vehicles, including 14 trucks. Cause of the accident is still being investigated. More than 300 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces in the last 48 hours, according to the Gaza government.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you so much for watching. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I'm Ayisha Yakubu. Have a good evening.